Today I'm working on an old Liebert Challenger 3000 system. A couple people were out already. Couldn't seem to determine what the problem was. Kept tripping low pressure. We were either betting it was the solenoid or the hot gas solenoid, but I had a hunch maybe the dryer. Fortunately, I had to recover all the gas to do it, and this unit's been worked on a few times. The compressor's been changed, and there's no isolation valves, so I don't know when the last time the dryer was changed. So I went ahead and installed an isolation valve. You see, I only did it in the liquid line, and then I put a pressure port here, and I put a flare nut. Some guys aren't a fan of flares, but if you do this properly, it's not a problem. I have a really good flaring tool, never let me down. Flare dryer, slightly bigger than the dryer they had. Flare nut. Now this one I used a pre-done flare because when I cut the old dryer out, I was short a little bit of space. So I put one of these pre-made flare couplings in. Then I came around and I replaced the sight glass. And when I do these sight glasses, I pull the indicator out, and you have to torque that back in, and I torqued that to spec. And then it came up. I replaced the solenoid valve because they don't make the solenoid valve that was here before, so you have to use the newer version, and you have to replace the whole valve. Years ago, we could just replace the stem, but they're not making that anymore, so you have to replace the whole valve. And then since I had the system open already, I went ahead and replaced the hot gas solenoid valve. And I saw some frosting on the hot gas valve itself, so again, we had the system open. It's a critical application, so I don't get many chances to work on this unit, so I went ahead and replaced that as well. It's pretty simple. I fabbed a lot of this up outside the unit and then just brought it in. See, my joints don't look spectacular. That's because I have to cool them right away with the rag and, you know, flowing nitrogen and all that stuff. So, point to the story is here, the pressure looked fine, but the unit would keep tripping low pressure or start running hot and cut out an internal overload for no reason and still give me a low pressure alarm. But when you hook the gauges up, everything looks fine. Well, the reason behind that is this hot gas bypass valve right here, which is actually for capacity control, not reheat. And when the suction pressure starts getting low on this unit, this will automatically start passing a little bit of hot gas to maintain the suction pressure. So if your liquid line solenoid or your hot gas solenoid valve is not 100% holding, you may think it's closed. You pull the wire off, say, oh, I don't see anything. But you can see this line is getting cold right here, coming all the way back. Something is going on here. So what was happening in my case, the dryer was plugged. So the compressor was building up so much pressure we couldn't see it because there wasn't a port. There was no ports here on this side, so we couldn't see what the pressure really was. But now we can. I added a port here and here across the dryer, so now you can measure it. So now you can see the pressure, but I think the pressure was getting so high it was causing the equalize past the solenoid. And when I took the solenoid apart, I'm pretty sure it didn't look great, so I'm pretty sure it was leaking back slightly. So that was maintaining our suction pressure when you're on the gauge port. So when you put the gauge on, everything looked great. Moral to the story is, if you have a situation like that where you think for some reason there's a restriction, I would pump it down, recover it, go for the dryer first. Pull that dryer out, try to blow through it. And if it's even partially restricted, go ahead and dump it. Real simple. Put a ball valve right here. You already have a solenoid here. So when the solenoid's disengaged and you close the ball valve, then you only have this little bit of gas to recover, and you can replace the dryer. With these new refrigerants and this POE oil, anything that's trapped in old lines, guarantee you're going to plug the dryer sooner or later. So if you're good at flares, that's what I do. Don't hate, y'all. Appreciate.